The fact that we are required to show ID for so many things just to get through the day. You know when you don't have to show ID, and not even all the time. Sometimes you do, but you don't. In your house. The second you leave your house in some way, shape, or form, you are pulling something out with your name on it. You go into the store, you're using a credit card, you're using your phone. You tap here, double click to pay. That's your name. That's proof of who you are, or proof of who you stole your phone from. But hopefully you have some security features in there that would dictate that if you're using the phone, it is indeed your phone. Everything. You want to, how do they travel any further than a local radius around where they are? How do you drive? Do you have a license? How do you fly? Do you have ID to get on an aircraft? But Jim Crow 2.0, that's how heinous it is. That's how oppressive and racist asking for identification is. I guess the banks, every bank in this country, when you walk in to cash a check or make a withdrawal, even a deposit, you're putting money in, they want to see ID. I guess banks are Jim Crow 2.0. Right? Is that it? They just cannot come up with a valid reason. Someone on the Democrat side must have said, we cannot possibly do the race thing again. They're on to us. We use it for everything. And then Chuck Schumer. But we don't have a real reason. So we need to say that it's racist. It's Jim Crow 2.0. Thank you. It's my Chuck Schumer impression. Hope you like it. All right. Anyway. How is that? Am I right, kids? Oh, boy. Yabba dabba do. The Washington Post, WaPo, as they call it, a liberal rag, propaganda rag for the left. They have laid off a shitload of people in every single department. Even the weather. Even the little blurb of the weather in the Washington Post was liberal, biased bullshit. Yeah, this is because of climate change that we have cold temperatures in the Northeast during the winter. Like it's never happened before. So they're just not getting as many people perusing their liberal rag. And the fact that part of their revenue is still a paper rag, I may keep using the word, is astounding in this day and age. We have robots. We have robots in 2026. And they're still, stop the presses. Here, extra, read all about it. The fact that that's still a thing is pretty astounding to me. It's newspapers and train conductors. The two entities that are still in the 1800s. Tickets, please. Get your tickets out. Oh, Willoughby. This stops Willoughby. And then they use a hole punch. There you go. Have you seen Gone with the Wind yet? There should be ways to do away with the print media and the hole punch on a train. But so they've had to lay off a bunch of people. I think that AI is really doing a lot of the work of what journalists used to do, and what these pseudo journalists, people that call themselves journalists but indeed are not, what they've been doing for the past few years. And now you could just have people, editors that work at the newspaper, and they just print something up from AI, get all the information, and then they could edit it. They could jockey a few words around, change a few things, and then they just put that out as the story, doing away with the pesky reporter or journalist. Why wouldn't you do that? Saving some cash, especially when you're already in the red because it's not 1980. So they laid off a bunch of these douchebags who are now all over social media crying. Literally, some of them are crying that they got fired from the Washington Post. And the left, I mean, it's like Pavlov's dog. It's a Pavlovian response. Whenever anything happens that they don't like, they protest it. They have to, what it is a adult version of a temper tantrum, barely adult version, but it's an adult version of a kid going like, no, cookie. They go crazy. So they grab a sign and they go, no. Meanwhile, it's what it is. You're fired. There isn't going to be a big letter writing campaign to get you back, like a popular show that's been canceled or something. You're done. Find another gig. They've had these cushy left-wing jobs for years where they go in, they trade stories about their vegan lunch that they have in the fridge, and then they write some nonsensical bullshit about Trump and MAGA, and they take little scooters to each other's office. You could bring your pets to work. And now they're fired, and they're out in the world, and they go, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to find another cushy job like that. Boo. So they start with the pissy eyes. So here's a collection of very recently former Washington Post employees protesting for some reason. Let's watch.
Hey, we do. Who makes the post? We do. Who makes the post? We do.
You did.
Who makes the post? We do. Welcome, Ben Brash. Hey, we do.
We do. And she's telling him, now when I say who makes the post, you say we do. And they're like, we do. Error. You don't. And no bunch of people with signs are going to change a corporate entity's mind to hire them back. You're done. Welcome to progress. Learn to code. Lear to code is what I'm seeing on social media, which is even funnier than putting Lear to code, is that people have been responding going like, you can't even spell and you're telling people what they should do for work. Not getting the joke. Lear to code. But my suggestion was that they open up a newspaper operation in their basement. These are the same scumbags, journalists, that celebrated my firing. They wrote little blurbs and stories about what an awful person I was. They had a great time. They loved that I was fired, the racist, horrible shock jock Anthony Cumia. And I had to figure out a workaround, lest my career be ended right then and there, back in 2014. So you guys can do the same thing. You guys don't have to protest. Get yourself one of those old Ben Franklin printing presses and open up your own little newspaper right there in your basement. See how many subscribers you could get. See how big your circulation can get. That's my suggestion. Or you can go. It's another suggestion. Weigh the two. Decide yourself what you want to do. Holy Jesus. Holy Jesus, Palomino. Look, I'm spitting on myself. Terrible. My tooth feels better, though. A little Vicodin and a few beers. There was a shooting. A police shot a man who charged at a cop and stabbed him with a knife. And the police shot this guy, did not kill him, but injured him. He was taken to the hospital. And out of the cop that was stabbed, thank God it wasn't life-threatening injuries. The guy foolishly knifed to a gunfight. And who do you think newly inaugurated mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani, who do you think he went to visit? The stabbed NYPD officer or the guy in the hospital that was shot by the cops that tried to kill the cop by stabbing him? Oh, no, it wasn't the cop. It was indeed the guy that tried to stab and kill the cop. That's who the mayor went to visit. If you think that Zoran Mamdani has any love or respect for his police department, by the way, the largest police department in the country, by far, it is like a small army, the NYPD. And the guy in charge of it despises them, was pushing to have them completely defunded, will do and say anything he can to make them look bad and try to replace them with some other agency so they aren't going around shooting these poor innocent people that are trying to stab them. So here's Zoran talking about his hospital visit to the man that tried to kill a police officer.
And as you said, I spoke with the Chakraborty family and I visited Chavez in the hospital. And there is no family should have to endure this kind of pain.
Baba, no! Hey, put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife, move! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
And as you said, I spoke with the Chakraborty.
Hate when they end it like that. Tune in next week for part 2. Yeah. No family should have to go through what the guy that stabbed the cops' family should have to go through. How about the cops that get killed on the job? Or not even killed, stabbed? How do you think the family feels when they get that phone call? How do you tell the wife that her husband's been stabbed and get the message out fast enough that he's okay? Should any family have to go through that? And there he is visiting the family. I spoke with the family. You know, cops like mayors like Giuliani, Bloomberg, they're like, yeah, I spoke with the cop. He's okay. The family. So this brought up a discussion between Zoran Mamdani and a news reporter, because if you've been following Zoran's agenda, things he wants to do as mayor, one of which is the cops. police. We need to send social workers and shrinks and anyone but cops to these calls about a domestic or a disturbed individual. That's what they call them, mentally disturbed individuals. This, by the way, is an example of a call that would have gotten, under the Mamdani plan, would have gotten a social worker sent to this house, to this apartment. That wouldn't have been a cop. That would have been a social worker had Mamdani implemented that within the first month of his tenure as mayor. But he wants to do this. He still wants to put social workers in the place of cops when it comes to these domestics and disturbed individuals. Now the reporter is saying, hey, in this instance, the cop had to use deadly physical force because he was attacked by someone with a knife. What if that was one of your social workers? And here's that exchange.
Can I get a clarification about something, Mr. Mayor?
So let's make it really quick and then we can have to go.
I really need to have a clarification about this. I know that you talk about the fact that the police can respond in these instances if there's a weapon. But in this case, there wasn't a knowledge that there would be a weapon. There was, the charges were that he was breaking glass. And at the last minute when the cops came in, he pulled a knife out in the kitchen. So how do you determine when the police can arrive if the initial call doesn't say he's got a gun, he's got a knife? What do you do? And then if it turns violent, if a person's there without the ability to stop him, what happens?
So I think there's a few things to say here. One is a lot of this is exactly the focus of the conversations that we're having internally in developing out this Department of Community Safety.
That whole statement he just made meant nothing. It was nothing. Well, there's other things and we're going to do. He said nothing right there. You know what that was? That was him, smoke coming out of his ears. The gears are revving out. They're redlining because he don't know what the he's going to say. That reporter brought up a great problem that is inherent with sending social workers to police calls. Like the reporter said, this call in particular did not involve a weapon. This was one of those calls that absolutely would have gotten a social worker sent to this residence. No weapon. Someone's a little on edge. They broke some glass and, you know, they need a social worker there to calm them down. It wasn't until the cops got there at the last second that this guy picked up a knife. And Mamdani, that first thing, it's him thinking. He's on autopilot with his mouth, and he's thinking, how the am I going to answer this one? Rewind it to when he starts talking and pay attention to when he says anything that is actually addressing the media's question here.
So I think there's a few things to say here. One is a lot of this is exactly the focus of the conversations that we're having internally in developing out this Department of Community Safety. Additionally, I want to make clear that a person experiencing a mental health episode does not always have to be served first or exclusively by a police officer. It is important for us to have all of the options available, and that's exactly what we're looking at.
All the options available. He didn't ask, will all the options be available? Those options that you have to choose from, a cop or a social worker, you got those options. In this case, based on the call, you would have sent a social worker. So if you enjoyed that clip,
then subscribe to Compound Censored using this promo code.